Hey everybody, welcome to TrailSage, and today I wanted to talk about the most important piece of equipment that I have that's helped me the most in terms of my fitness on the mountain bike. And if you saw the opening montage, you probably guessed it's my road bike. And what got me thinking about this was, recently I went to a local park of mine at Smedley with my buddy Stick, and we're sessioning a jump line that they have there because I suck at jumping. But the line is probably about 50 to 75 feet, and Stick and I are just doing lap after lap after lap, and just got me thinking about how important fitness is to be able to do that. And just to be clear, if you're a rider that's happy with where you're at, there's no reason to change. But if you are looking to get stronger, if you want to improve your fitness, I can't think of a better way to do that than with a road bike. A lot of you might be thinking, well, if you want to get better at mountain biking, you need to be mountain biking more. But if the goal is to improve your overall fitness, mountain biking more might not be the best option. And the reason why is it's hard. It's hard on our bikes. It's hard on our bodies. My bike's always in the shop needing tune-ups, flats, dings and dents, and my body too. I'm coming back from these rides and I got scratches and bruises all over myself. So, saying, oh, you should just mountain bike more, that sometimes isn't feasible. So what are some of the advantages of a road bike? There are 4 things that I can think of, and one of them happens to be convenience. I can leave right out my door and be right on my bike. When I'm doing a mountain bike ride, that usually means, packing all this extra gear. I don't live near a trailhead, so that means driving to a trailhead. With the road bike, I'm out the door and I'm riding. The other thing that I think is really nice about a road bike is it's great for doing structured rides. I don't have to ride for hours and hours to get a good workout in. I can do a solid, 1 to 1.5 hours of just a HIIT workout, and if you don't know what a HIIT ride is, that's a high intensity interval training. And so, I can do a 1 hour, 1.5 hour session and be good. And I'll try and do at least 1 or 2 of those a week. But if you're doing 1 or 2 of those a week, it's also important to build in those recovery rides. And again, I think the road bike is really conducive to doing a recovery ride. I know for myself, I have definitely tried to recover on the mountain bike and I just can't do it. I love being on the trails so much that the minute that I get on my mountain bike, I just want to, and it's like, that doesn't work for a good recovery ride. Mountain biking, at least for me, is much more full body. I'm using many more muscles. I'm using a lot more brain power. And so when I get on the road bike, I'm really able to just kind of focus on getting that heart rate down, spinning out the legs, get that lactic acid out of your legs. And so I personally prefer to recover on a road bike. The other thing that I can think of is being injured, right? And trust me, I've had more injuries than I probably like to admit, but I've broken my back, my ribs, my wrist. Most recently, I separated my shoulder. And in every one of those instances, I was able to use the road bike to kind of maintain my fitness so that when I was ready to return back to mountain biking, I wasn't starting from scratch. And the last thing, when the weather's bad and you can't get on the trails, well, guess what? I'll slap some, fenders onto my road bike and boom, I'm out and riding. So your next question might be, how do I structure a road ride to help with my mountain bike rides? And it really comes down to knowing what you ride when you're mountain biking. If you live in an area that has 1,000, 2,000 foot climb, okay, you want to structure your road ride to help with those things. And conversely, if you live in an area that's flat with a couple punches, okay, structure your ride to focus on those types of efforts. For me personally, I don't live in an area that has huge climbs. I think the biggest climb that I have probably tops out about 500 feet, but most of my climbing happens in that 200, 300 foot range. And so, I'm structuring my HIIT workouts to benefit those things. And, I have a couple different loops, and one of my loops happens to have 200 foot climbs in it. So on one of them, I'll do a standing effort where I'm working on slower cadence but bigger power. And then on the back side of the loop, I have another 100 foot climb where I'm staying seated and I'm working on higher cadence. And since doing these HIIT workouts, I've seen a massive improvement in my fitness level when I'm mountain biking. And listen, just because we're on a road bike, that doesn't mean that we can't work on mountain bike skills. I can think of a few examples where you can be on the road bike and still work on some things that you use in mountain biking. And one of the biggest examples is trail standing, right? That's a thing that we do in mountain biking all the time. Well, you can do that in road biking too. That's called a track stand. And so, when I'm coming up to a traffic light or I'm coming up to a stop sign, I'll work on my track stand. How long can I stay on my bike without clipping out? Another thing that I'll work on is cadence. We talked about that during the hit rides, but I'll work on holding a high cadence through a sustained effort, or maybe I'll be standing and working on a slow cadence but high power. So those are things that you can work on too. Another thing that I have around me is my roads usually have like a white line, for where the shoulder is, and so I'll take my road bike and I'll see how long can I stay on that white line without deviating off of it. And that obviously relates to skinnies when you're mountain biking. The only difference is in mountain biking, if you fall off the skinny, there's a penalty. But basically you're trying to hold that white line, and another key to that is not looking right down, right? You want to get your head up. That's the best way to kind of stay on that white line. Well, getting your head up is another skill that we use in mountain biking all the time. And the last thing that I can think of is cornering. And so there are two types of cornering that we do in mountain biking. So you have the berm turn, where you're leaning yourself with the bike in that turn. And then there's the flat turn, where you're leaning the bike, but you're staying upright. And so those are two things that you can work on the road bike as well. So, if I have a banked road, I'm going to lean myself with the bike and see if I can hold that turn. And then, obviously for flat turning, I'm leaning the bike, but I'm staying upright and I'm trying to see how much traction can I keep on the ground. So, those are just a few things that I can think of off the top of my head that, you can do in road biking that directly correlates to mountain bike skills. So are there any downsides to road biking? And, I can think of two pretty big downsides right off the top of my head. The first is the cost, right? I mean, you can get into road biking relatively inexpensively by just searching the used market and, using your existing mountain bike helmet and shoes. But assuming that you really get into road biking, you might want a nicer bike. And when that happens, you could be looking at spending thousands of dollars. And then the gear that goes on top of that, you're going to want a new helmet, new shoes, lights for your bike. All these things have a cost, and that adds up, and it gets to be pretty expensive. The other downside, and this doesn't pertain to folks that are using a trainer or stationary bike, but if you're like me and you like to ride outside, well, it's pretty dangerous out there. And I don't mean the road bike itself. The road bike itself is very safe, but it's the other drivers around you that make road biking so dangerous. I can think of countless numbers of times when I've almost gotten clipped by a driver just going way too close to me. So road biking is inherently more dangerous in my opinion than mountain biking, and you should be aware of that. So in conclusion, it really comes down to, how do I maximize more time on the mountain bike? And that really means being fit. And so to get more fit, the road bike, it's really hard to argue that. We talked about how convenient they are. We talked about how efficient they are at building structured workouts. We talked about, if there's bad weather and you can't ride on the trails, getting out on the road bike. We even talked about how to use the road bike to build certain mountain bike skills, So, I don't like road riding. It's not my favorite thing to do, but if it allows me to get onto the trails and spend more time on the trails, I'm all about it. If it means more smiles, if it means more high fives on the mountain bike, yeah, I'm gonna put in the work. So let me know if you think I missed anything, or if there are other things that you do to help you with your training. I know cross training is another big one for me. And also this TrailTalk series is a new thing. So if you want me to cover more topics like cross training, let me know that in the comments below too. Well, that does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe or join now for some extra perks. Thanks for watching.